Welcome to Remembering You, a space for slowing down, seeing again, and gathering the parts of yourself that the world asked you to forget.
Each week, we wander through stories, ancient, personal, and collective, to explore how perspective changes everything. How what we look at and how we look can open doors to who we truly are.
Take a breath, feel your feet.
You've arrived.
Let's begin remembering you.
So, are we going to fight?
I can be your devil, baby. I've got horns and a tail for you. I have a very clear aversion to anyone who has oppositional energy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like if somebody has a fight that they're wanting to pick, I'm gone. I'm just like, nope. I have zero tolerance.
Like our HOA board president.
Oh, mama mia. So oppositional,
Yeah.
and just everything is
Yeah.
like, if I were a psychologist, which I'm not, I would define his inner child as in a state of constant terror.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
really hard to.
It only draws pity and
Yeah. Same.
empathy.
Heartbreaks.
And I have no desire to volunteer in our community
hell
because
no.
of him. I mean, it's just like,
Hell no, I don't want to be anywhere around it.
so bad. And I have always been a volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
And whether we are in an official capacity or not, like we pick up trash along the road with our walks,
Yeah.
and we're calling or texting neighbors if a gate is open, or
Yeah.
rescuing the lost dog. But I have zero desire to come in his orbit at all.
So you said you real clear, like,
Boundaries?
yeah, boundaries around that. Like, don't want to get involved.
I have no responsibility for somebody else's
Sure.
whatever their... Oh, this is interesting.
Huh.
So this would be a second half of life term. I am not interested in participating in somebody's experience of shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Like fighting with their own shadows.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have worked with people who were demon possessed. So if we want to talk about demonic deliverance and spiritual warfare,
Have you done exorcisms, my love?
I am all in when it comes.
Oh, so like okay.
When it comes to that.
Oh, yeah, that's a very different kind of thing.
Because somebody wants to find clarity or healing or wholeness or the ability to be able to remember what is their truth. Like, and so if somebody is not, almost like the word is desperate.
Yeah.
If someone's not desperate, versus it's their everyday MO, it's their mode of operation.
They're not interested in changing or looking at themselves or what's happening around them.
They wouldn't be able to hear even if
No.
I had a bullhorn standing right next to them, yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
And that is not a place of superiority. Like I have
gosh, no.
more somehow.
Oh, no.
And if anything, it's just, I've learned my lesson in several different moments. And one of them was in a very public setting where somebody was obviously like, their fight was with themselves and they were drawing everybody into it, and I was trying to help, and I ended up proverbially walking away with a black eye.
Yeesh.
It was, and everybody saw it and they were just like, ooh,
That wasn't fun.
nope. That was before there are some some pieces of wisdom and skill that only come through getting an emotional or a mental, maybe even a physical black eye.
Mm-hmm. Become somebody's verbal punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so that's like a external adversary. You know, somebody to fight with, somebody who's just wanting to fight with other people or pointing the finger or whatever. It comes in a million different forms. But then there's also the inner adversary.
Mm.
And of course, the inner adversary is what creates the outer one.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think about that?
It's an interesting note and maybe something to contemplate on or around. The enemy of your enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think of the war on terror when that phrase came about.
Mm-hmm.
We all were against the Taliban.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it did not matter the color of your skin,
mm-hmm.
your economic bracket, how much education you had. Like, it was waving an American flag mm-hmm. and celebrating the USA. And we experienced the power of having a common enemy mm-hmm. that we were united around. And it didn't matter if you were religious or non-religious, or like mm-hmm. there was a synergy around the experience of bringing people together in one voice against, and then bombs and boots on the ground, and mm-hmm. like then decades later the war is still going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to recognize, or just to name, that our experience as humans in the exterior, and maybe you can shed some light on the interior, on the exterior, we unite around a common enemy or align ourselves with other people who are naming the same enemy, versus my interior world. I don't find in my inner world nothing is united. Like, if we want to come from IFS parts work perspective, my parts are not united around a common enemy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's only chaos mm-hmm. and dysfunction mm-hmm. and separation and fragmentation mm-hmm. and not a fun experience when I feel like there's a part in the inside that is my enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never thought of it that way, but I feel the same way. I wonder, do your parts coalesce around love instead mm-hmm. of hate? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Always uniting around order.
Yep.
Love. Mm-hmm. Acceptance. Mm-hmm. Hope.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that something positive and loving doesn't also unite people on the outside too, but not in the same way that experience of 9/11 was. That was the first time in my life I'd ever, and since, maybe aside from on a smaller scale, this whole thing with our neighborhood developer, like the way our whole neighborhood, our little section just kind of all came together around that common enemy. So it was a similar kind of thing, but
which is interesting to note. So everyone lives in a geographic location where the Houston toad has been named as an endangered species, mm-hmm. and this area is ground zero for toad habitat.
Yep. It's the last
And-
remaining spot on Earth.
So we have the Houston Zoo and universities that are breeding Houston toads and releasing them in the area. Not all of our neighbors are like, they don't all have a sign out front saying that they're part of the Houston toad habitat program.
Right.
We do. So that isn't necessarily something that has united us all,
Right. Right.
which is interesting.
It is.
Living in a pine forest, there are concerns about fire hazard. And that doesn't even necessarily unite all of us to do the exact same care of our properties with the same vigilance. So it's interesting. Then a year ago, we have somebody who comes in and says, I'm going to build a high density subdivision, and everybody comes out of the woodwork
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in our large acre plots of land that
Where
are
nobody
not-
really wants to interact with one another. Yeah. We're all pretty isolated.
where our deed restrictions are clear that you can't make super small and
Yeah.
high density neighborhoods.
Nope.
A little bit of experience. So let me ask you, what does it mean for you to have an enemy on the outside or versus on the inside? What is that?
Well, I don't really have. I don't have any enemies on the outside, I mean, obviously there are people kind of like you that I don't want to have anything to do with because of just how they are, and if they're just a jerk or their life is chaos. It's like, well, that's not my game. So in that sense, there's like a no. So we could. I wouldn't exactly frame that as an enemy. That just feels more like healthy boundaries. But I do get shitty about people in my own head sometimes, certainly. I'll see somebody, I mean, it could be anything. And I recognize that is either it's pinging my own insecurity, it's pinging my own whatever. I also have an internal landscape that likes to fight with itself. And so anything that is unresolved on the inside, then, I see somebody on the outside doing something that I suppose the new word for this is triggered. I get reactive in some kind of way. It's like, I don't like that. I'm going to, I know better most of the time than to post anything about that online. You get into online arguments with people. I don't really do that anymore. But boy, I mean, there are, I have some people on my Facebook, whether it's family or just old friends, and they'll post stupid ass shit. I'm just like, I gotta bite my tongue. And so that is a moment of noticing the reactivity, and then, well, depends on the day and how resourced I am, but sometimes I'll recognize it and then be like, that is not. So even that, obviously, if they were sitting in front of me and if I were to yell at them, if I were to say the thought that just flashes in my head, no filter, that would be like, let's call that an energetic 10. And then if I were to post something, if I were to, type on my keyboard and just respond to their post online, let's say that's an energetic 5. But even the thought, the internal shitty thing that crosses through my head is still an energetic, not really much different than posting something online. Let's call it maybe an energetic 3. Like it's still it takes something from me in a sense. There's a cost. And so I am mindful of then, not that I do like my my old therapist's words that you are not responsible for the first thought, but you are responsible for the thought after. And so what I don't need to do is get into a shame spiral or a fight with myself about the fact that I had a shitty thought. But I do need to be mindful of it and just recognize, okay, let's get curious maybe about where that's coming from. Let's love on ourselves and send them some compassion. And just like apply the antidote of love and compassion. And I assume that over time that will work its magic. That is still an ongoing process. It's very much in flux. If that feels new, that garden inside of me is like, it's just, look, it's got little baby sprouts growing. We do not have big mature oak trees in that field. We have little baby sprouts. Yeah.
Growing up in the Christian church, there was a large emphasis on a literal devil.
Yeah.
Who maybe didn't have red horns and a pitchfork, but was prowling around like a lion, seeking who he may devour. And the idea of Satan is the accuser or the challenger. So there is this way of being on guard spiritually, or also people who maybe I'm looking at my tattoo right now, maybe they had tattoos, or maybe they smoked, or maybe they drank, or maybe they swore.
Danger.
They were a part of Satan's physical army.
Whoosh.
So it was challenging because we would be reminded we wrestle not against flesh and blood. The fight is not against people. People are not the adversary. But we're wrestling against principalities and powers and spiritual forces in the heavenlies. And also Satan had his minions who looked like riffraff and smelled like riffraff. And so I remember as a kid hearing someone on my soccer team swear, and my first thought was, oh, the devil has got a hold of their mouth and is using them because they're using swear words, which is the devil's language. So that was one way of looking at division, separation from a spiritual perspective. And then it got more intense as I understood theology, because there was an inner separation where my heart was defined as a heart of stone. Like, I have a heart of stone that's unfeeling or unable to receive what God has for me in the very center or core of who I am.
So you mean like by default, so to say?
Mm-hmm. Because I was born into sin.
Right.
And with that sin consciousness, there was also a default sense of shame and fear and uncertainty, and a voice on the inside that said, I'm alone. I'm not enough. I must try to control everything, all of my experience, all of my thoughts, especially the bad thoughts, because I don't want to be a part of the bad team. And I have to somehow win over this adversary that is within. And so it was complicated. Even after I had an experience of feeling love and safety and belonging with a power greater than myself, when I asked Jesus into my heart, there still was this sense of, yeah, but the devil could still come out and get me. And I need to be on guard. And so there wasn't ever a sense of, I can relax, until the way that I looked at the devil didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I would probably credit the dean of my alma mater, because he was in the deliverance movement. Like, he was a big name. If there were weird things happening in your house, like lights and sounds and some kind of demonic infestation, he was the one who was called and would use, he was a hardcore Bible guy, and he did the class. I took his class several times on demonology and
Fascinating.
how you respond to the forces of darkness and the enemy coming in your life. And at the end of his life, he no longer focused on deliverance theology from a Christian perspective. How do we fight the devil? He was the most influential person in my life of introducing me to the mystics and to experience of the divine through nature, through contemplation, through Lectio Divina, through all of these different ways of prayer. And I remember like watching him go through that change and being a little bit curious and in awe, because he had all these fantastical stories of literally demons speaking out of children.
I have movie scenes playing in my head right now.
I see dead people.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that movie, it was a little terrifying, because I had grown up in a culture where that was not a horror movie that we watched on the big screen. Yeah. It was reality in the books that we read and the stories we told and the myth that was a part of our experience.
So how do you understand the devil then now, or the adversary?
He's hiding under every rock. Be careful. Don't turn over rocks.
Don't get a tattoo.
Oops. Don't get divorced. Don't smoke. Don't drink.
You're like 0 for 10.
I love my pipe tobacco.
Yes, you do.
And there is an acknowledgement. I will have nurses or staff members in various communities where we have hospice patients asks me after a patient passes to come and do a cleansing ceremony and ritual for the community or for that room specifically, because the staff can't go in there because they either feel the presence of the patient still there, or they feel a darkness or something evil or something that just feels off or creepy. And it is amazing. I'll use oil to anoint. I'll have prayers. Sometimes I'll use sage. Sometimes we're opening windows. Sometimes we'll sing a song or a hymn. It depends on who the person is that has asked for that support. And I can feel the clearing take place.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much touchable, tangible. And then the staff always report that it's gone and they can go back in that room, and weird things are not taking place, like windows opening by themselves or lights turning off and on, or just a creepy feeling that you're being watched. And I don't have a lot of categories to fit that experience into, other than it has been a part of the human experience from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think if we go back to the book of Genesis, we see this idea of a utopia, the garden, and Adam and Eve are placed in the center, and they're given an instruction. It's a prohibition. Mm-hmm. Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And we have the main character then for the rest of Genesis through the book of Revelation popping back up as the one who brought division and separation and fear and self-loathing and shame into the equation. And that narrative is probably, or that way of describing experience on a world stage, a local stage, within a family, within a personal psyche, I think we can see those moments of separation and division, and we can feel it when we are separated from our truest, most beautiful self.
Yeah. The
way I would put it in Illumined Men's work is, I am a beloved child of God. Mm-hmm. And whenever I feel that separation from that belovedness is a moment that I would, in my first half of life, put the tag, the devil has somehow come and is bringing division in my experience. This morning over coffee, we were talking about the first morning of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis.
We were.
And the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
It was a bigger conversation than I was expecting to have. It was wonderful.
You asked, and it's twilight. It's still dark out, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about spooky stuff.
Yeah. Well, and for the record, I'm still nauseous. A little bit. It's my inner, it's 8 hours later now. And I
think I need to get you a clove of garlic, my love, to hang around your neck. Obviously, the devil is preying upon your weakness.
No. Yeah. So, oh God, how do we want to explain? We were talking about food and bodies. And,
oof. Two complicated topics.
Huge. So, just anyone listening right now kind of feel into the complexity that every modern human that I know of, I mean, I don't know any that aren't modern. I guess every human that I know in this modern world, we all have complicated relationships with food. Like, whether we eat too much of it, not enough of it, we're concerned about getting the right kind of nutrients, we're concerned about the chemicals on our food. And I hadn't until this morning considered what any of this, I hadn't ever felt into, for the lack of a better term, the spiritual side of our relationship with food and how it's changed and what it means for me on a personal level. And, we talked about how...
Hold on, let's pause for a second.
Okay, yeah. There's so much here.
What do you mean by the spiritual relationship to food?
Yeah. Well, so if you're not a spiritual person, I guess I would...
What does it mean to be a spiritual person?
Right. I mean, we all are, but whether or not we know we are is a different thing. So, the way that when you can listen to a song and it hits at just the right time and you maybe break down into tears or you leap into joy, it's felt with every fiber of your being. Or the way that, I don't know, the first time you see a new little puppy and you just there's that, you recognize their pure heart, and it just melts. It melts you on the inside. That is, for me, the spiritual side of being a human. It's all of those things that are impossible to put into words, and that. So those are just like experiences that we have that I think can point us to. But this is a layer that is underneath any and everything that we experience. So your very first answer to me when I asked you a question was, well, everything is spiritual. So I'm like, yeah, it is. And I know that. But I've only ever looked at it from a psychological point of view. My relationship with my food, you know, as I've been going through perimenopause, like everything has just been upended and turned on its head. But it's all, my relationship with food has always been just complicated ever since I was a kid. But I hadn't quite realized just how complicated it was. And I guess my takeaway, we can meander through that conversation and kind of pull on some threads that are interesting. But I found a quote from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, who said,
highly recommend the book.
Oh my goodness, I need to reread it. I need to reread that book. But she says, the breath of plants give us life, and our breath gives them life. This is the fundamental reciprocity of the world. To forget this is to become an orphan in a world that is constantly trying to feed you. And so, like, I have goosebumps right now. And so if we think about...
So you would define that quote as a spiritual quote.
Very.
It's touching something spiritual in you because you're having goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To forget this is to become an orphan in a world that is constantly trying to feed. Like, I could cry right now. So we talked about how as kids we remember being hungry all the time. And not that, I mean, we both had plenty of food growing up. It's not like we didn't have food scarcity. We weren't that kind of poor growing up, neither one of us. And we both had mothers who cared deeply about feeding us and making sure that we were well fed. And, but I definitely felt monitored about what I was eating. So like my mother was always very, very thin and always, I remember lots and lots of comments about her body and my body. And, when she was growing up, there was a very popular model and her name was Twiggy. And Twiggy was like, she looked like a 12-year-old girl. She was just this super thin, wafy. And my mom just aspired to stay looking like Twiggy her whole life. And so she generally hovered around 100 pounds, although I'll bet her healthy weight was, if she would have allowed herself to, it would probably be more like 130. So for as long as I can remember, I've always monitored what I eat. And that's not okay. Like that does some things to a child's psyche.
What do you mean by monitored what you ate?
Like she would make comments. So there were certain foods that I really, really loved. Iceberg lettuce. I would sit and eat an entire iceberg head of lettuce in like a day. And I loved it. This was joy for me.
No ranch salad dressing?
No, I like to tear off the big sheet of iceberg lettuce. It was so satisfying. And then I just nibble on it like a fucking rabbit. Iceberg lettuce, red delicious apples, which I do not like anymore. They're like the worst apples. I'd eat a bag of them every week at least. Sardines. Really loved sardines on saltine crackers.
Plain or flavored?
Just plain. I think it's just sardines and water.
Okay.
Yeah, not fancy. This is like Midwestern. We were we were simple. Simple. We used salt and pepper on things and that was it. Salt, pepper, and cheese. That's how we flavored things. And I remember getting lots of comments from my mom. My mom was monitoring how many, like, oh my gosh, you ate that whole head of lettuce like in a day, or you've had an entire bag of apples this week, or, you've had however, like she was counting and she would report back to me how much she saw me ate. So, I mean, we didn't have unhealthy things in our house. We didn't have potato chips. We didn't have candy. So this is what I binged on. I was fucking hungry all the time. But then obviously because she was monitoring me, I learned to monitor myself.
Sure. Yeah.
And with that comes a lot of, so the energy of it was, she was not monitoring me to ensure that I got enough to eat and that I was healthy and happy. She was monitoring me to make sure that I too looked like Twiggy. And so then that's how I that's my relationship to food. And my ex-husband was very same way, same kind of way, just obsessive about food and being healthy, quote unquote, and always monitoring everything. So it's a new thing for me to, like, I didn't really start to kind of really look at my relationship to food until the last 5, 6, 7 years. So it is still very much an ongoing process. And in it, I, like, most of the time, I don't know what I want to eat. Nothing sounds good. I might be hungry, but nothing sounds good. Or I just have an upset stomach. And it's hard for me to find something. Like, I'm super excited right now because I've figured out that in the morning, if I have a glass of fiber before I eat my breakfast, my body is so happy. It's like it's doing this. There's something in me that just, I cannot describe the feeling. It feels like a rest, like a kind of satisfaction. There is no anxiety. There is no, and it's so rare that obviously I pay attention to it. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So anyway, I'm still trying to figure out what any of that means. But our conversation this morning certainly started to connect some dots that I have never connected before. And I think, like, think about, it's wild to me the way that we can become so adversarial with ourselves and with something as fundamental as the need for food. I mean, we can't live without it. And so when food becomes weaponized in a way, fuck, that's deep. Like that really cuts deep. You mentioned our neighbor's really lovely thank you note. Will you tell that story?
Yeah, happy to. So this past year, our whole section in our HOA, we had to come together to fight the evil, greedy developer.
It's trying to kill all the toads.
Trying to high density subdivision.
Yeah.
And that court case was settled last week.
Yep.
And
we won.
Alice Ann was she was one of 2 main individuals to testify and did a superb job, as well as organizing the community. And there were certain individuals that did phone calls and went door to door for putting together a petition, and like it was a grassroots effort, and everybody came together and everybody helped, and the community is still getting together once a month and doing a potluck, and it's been something that has joined us together. And so on the other side of this court ruling, which we had over 20 members of the community in attendance, and it was just a great outpouring. Well, there's these old timers who have been here, lived here through the fire back in 2011, where most of them lost their homes and like the landscape was destroyed. There were very few pine trees. And over the last 11 years, the pines have come back and they've rebuilt. And like these are folks in their late 60s, 70s, 80s who are watching their community be under threat in a new way. And one couple who has served in various roles over the years in capacities within the HOA, and great asset and resource to us and our cause, and very much a proponent for us stopping what needed to be stopped, left a gift at our gate this week. And it was a little basket with some tomatoes, a couple green peppers, and some yellow banana peppers in a basket. And then there was a card, and it was all wrapped up tight and neat with a tie. This small little narrow tie. It's maroon, red, and stripes, and
like a necktie.
Like a
man's necktie.
Yeah, a man's necktie from the 1950s. And so we get a text from our neighbor, and they say, "Hey, we left something on the front of your place." And so we go, and you get it, and you bring it in, and in the card, they express their appreciation for everything that Alice Ann has done, and my support and participation as well for the community in this fight. And they say, "Please accept our first fruits of this season as a way of expressing our appreciation for the time and energy and sacrifice that you all have given to the community." And on the first look, like, this is a nice gift.
Oh, it's so sweet.
It's something old, something that was a family heirloom, and they know that I may like to wear ties, and so they're passing it along. And they know that we like vegetables, and so they're sharing and passing that along. So that's kind of at the first glance. And then as I reread it, the language of first fruits is a biblical language that is going to carry with it deep meaning from the Abrahamic religions. Because in Genesis, we have the beginning of the sacrificial law coming forth, where the instruction to Cain and Abel was to give their first fruits as an offering to God, as a thank you, as a recognition that, like, the sun rises and they need the sun, whether they're a sheep herder or a farmer, they need the sun, and they need the wind, and they need the rain, and they need the ground and the nutrients. And, coming back to your quote from the book, Braiding Sweetgrass, like, there is this circle of life and exchange. And so the first fruits is the idea of pausing before you eat of your first fruits, whether that's a brand new baby sheep or I have no desire to eat baby sheep, but I guess some people do.
Some do, yes.
But fruit from the ground, produce, the idea of a first fruit and offering or giving that to God as expressing thankfulness and gratitude is a way to look at our food and our bodies and the work that we do. And so all of that meaning, all of that way of expressing the sacredness of all things was conveyed in that note with that reference to here's a gift of our first fruits in appreciation for the way that you have given and served.
That's beautiful. Do you consider the story of Adam and Eve as kind of like a way to point to humanity's, say, fall from God? Or, and like, if so, how does that tie into an adversary, or maybe the beginning of self disconnection?
The Garden of Eden represents completion or wholeness. It is a beautiful symbol for shalom, or like there's nothing lacking. It's peace. Like there is a sense of I'm at ease, I'm at rest. And the way that the accusation came, and it wasn't, it was a kind of a side step. The devil doesn't come in and say you're a piece of shit.
Sure.
So it's not right to your face. It's not a direct assault. It's from a blind spot. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you misheard. Can you really trust God in this situation? Did God really say?
It's like a seed of doubt, kind of.
Yeah, so there was manipulation in the interaction, and then separation and self-doubt. There's fear, and the way that plays out is Adam and Eve freak out because they're naked.
Yeah. So
And
they become like self-aware and ashamed.
They're aware of something that was not a problem. Being naked was not a problem. But all of a sudden, because of their sense of shame, I am broken, I am fractured, I am lacking something. Now I feel like I have to hide from myself and from everybody else and cover up. And so in our relationship with ourselves and in our relationship with the world, there can be many different ways that we try to hide from ourselves. And we could call that coping.
Yeah.
Or we could call that scrolling. Or we call that drinking. Or we could call that working out. Or we could call that only eating organic foods. Or we could call that I just bought a new car and it's sitting in my driveway and I am trying to cover up, or another good word would be overcompensate for something that doesn't need to be compensated for in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the metaphor of sin entering the world, with the apple being eaten and then self-doubt being introduced as, did God really say that? Can you really trust yourself and trust God in this moment? And I keep coming back to this. The way that my parents talked about people when they weren't there is the way that my self-talk is experienced within my own head or my own psyche. And I think that's important to recognize, that if our parents were cutting and angry and vindictive, then if you stop and pay attention, 99% of the time, I'm going to say you're probably going to struggle with an inner narrative and the self-talk of I'm always less than or worthless or a piece of crap.
Yep.
So I'm curious, what should I do if I start to realize or recognize, become self-aware that the common denominator in my experience is me?
Oh.
So like if I'm having all of these toxic people in my life or really intense situations, one of your favorite ways to frame that is it's co-created.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I start to recognize, oh, the tapes that are playing in my head are all negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's all less than. It's all I'm a failure, or I need to fight constantly to prove who I am. And I actually don't need to prove to anybody else. I'm just constantly trying to fight and prove my self-worth to myself. How do you give someone pointers that's beginning to recognize that? Because we can put as many sticky notes on our bathroom mirror as we want. I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
I am enough. I am worthy of love.
Yeah.
I am worthy of my dreams. I am a winner. I am, and just keep going down the list, whatever Tony Robinson has said.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
until something happens, that can't get in. So what needs to happen before?
Well, before I answer that, I'll give you a few quotes from some very smart people over the years. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Besser van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, said, "The body keeps the score. If you have a comfortable connection with your inner sensations, if you can trust them to give you accurate information, you will feel in charge of your body, your feelings, and yourself."
Ooh, yeah.
Rumi says, "Your task is not to seek love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it."
So good.
Amen to Rumi. So I think it's important to name that this is a universal human experience. No one becomes a human with some kind of made up imaginary perfect childhood and then doesn't have this going on inside, some kind of self-doubt or pain or critical voice in their head, or so this is where, this is why, well, as they say, the Buddha taught 10,000 different dharmas and or teachings, and in the West we have created literally hundreds of different kinds of therapies, because that answer of what there is to do is going to be different for everybody, and it depends on where you're at and it's a whole big process that like unfolds in its own kind of unique special snowflake sort of way. And so there's no prescription other than, I suppose, like maybe the broad strokes of it are we need, certainly at first, but probably for a very long time, we need some kind of practice. We need some kind of thing that we do with our body. So this isn't just all up in our head. We can talk about this with our therapist for years and years and years and years, or our best friend or whatever. We could write about it in our journal. That might be a part of our practice. But eventually we're going to have to like do something with our body, whether it's dance or energy work or I would argue meditation is very much a physical experience as well. We will need to do something with our bodies.
Forest bathing.
Yes, forest bathing. Yep. And again, this is why there are dozens and dozens of different kinds of things we can do. Tai Chi, go take a martial arts class, because it's not just in your head. Like, it's not just I need a cognitive reframe. That this is why writing positive things on your mirror alone can't fix it, quote unquote. And so we have to do something, and then we have to follow that train until it stops working, until we've reached to the end of the track. And then inevitably there will be something else that kind of shows up as the next level or step on the path. And I don't, unless you're going to go be a hermit in a cave somewhere. But I think too, another important ingredient in this recipe is finding people that are genuinely supportive and nourishing for your own inner world. And so, maybe that's, if you have a really toxic relationship with your parents, you need to kind of step back for a little while. Or, things are dysfunctional between you and your best friend or your husband or your wife or whatever, or you're in a cesspool of a workplace culture, like whatever it is, cleaning up our external world in a way that is going to support what it is we're trying to create on the inside. And there genuinely are lots of really incredible people out there. And all you have to do is, they might not show up immediately. Like, you might have to kind of go searching, but just, you got to open your heart to it and do something about, like, they're not just going to come knocking on your door. So whether it's you join a club or a gym, or you just start up conversations with random people in the grocery store, whatever, but you got to go put yourself out there a bit and try something new. But there are so many people who are walking this path right now. The world, which is, I don't know if it's always been that way. I don't know if I don't know, but the world is full of people who are figuring it out. So, and like attracts like. Yeah.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I'm reminded last week we had our last class for the Texas Master Naturalist program that we're in and training. And we had a local snake guy as we're talking about Adam and Eve in the garden and the snake speaking to them and offering them, and like just his love and his joy over snakes. And he will have people call him randomly, text him randomly, and say, "We've got some snake in our chicken house. Would you come and relocate it?" And he'll go, and like he is the greatest ambassador for reptiles in the whole world.
It's so sweet. He's just pure puppy dog love.
It's just like snakes in our psychology.
Yeah.
In the West, snakes are evil and to be feared.
Yeah, very much.
And he finds so much delight in helping people reframe and come to a new understanding of how important snakes are for the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
It's fantastic. So I'm watching someone really be an example of taking something that has divided us for centuries, a snake, and is using it to connect with the community and build relationships. And I love that. I just needed to say that because it's something that I'm kind of delighting in watching his
Yeah.
way of being in the world and what he is doing, the ways that he is reconnecting and joining people to nature and themselves and community.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one, I mean, he very obviously loves what he does, but then just and it's all totally free. Like he just kind of decided one day that I'm going to go provide this free service to my community. And so I'm just going to be the guy who will come and get the snake out of your chicken coop, or, that's stuck down in your water pipe turn off valve in the front of your house or something like that. And talk about, I imagine he gets a kind of satisfaction from that you could pay him $3 million and it wouldn't even come close to the joy. And it's palpable. Like, you can feel it when he's talking about it. It's just, and it's pretty rare these days to feel that from people.
Speaking of talking snakes.
Yeah.
When I teach on prayer from a Judeo-Christian perspective, a common question that I will get is, how do I know that God is speaking to me? What does God's voice sound like? And I love running that rabbit trail. Like, I could talk about that all day long. There's just so much delight in my soul when I talk about hearing the voice of God and what that sounds like. And there is a flip side. So what does the voice of the adversary or the devil or the enemy sound like in your experience? So think about, have you ever had, let's think of in the positive, have you ever had a positive thought that you're just like, I don't know where that came from. That's brilliant. That's genius. Like,
Yeah.
that had to come from somewhere else other than me. So if you've had that thought, it's important to recognize that you are being very self-disparaging in that moment and not accepting or owning your inherent genius. And the success that you bring to a problem when you're free to alchemize all of the experiences and the skills and the wisdom that you bring to a problem. So sometimes it feels better for us. Like, we can't own the fact that there is genius within us. And so we want to attribute it somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah.
Just like when we pull a stupid, we want to be able to blame
Yep.
the devil made me do it.
Yeah.
In our experience. So the voice of the devil sounds exactly like the voice of God. In our experience, it sounds like me. It's my own inner voice.
Yeah.
It's my own inner narrative. And that's why the negative thoughts can be so destructive in our experience, because we believe our own BS in a way that can be very destructive to ourselves.
So it's not only that we speak cruelly to ourselves, but that we also believe it just automatically. Yeah.
Because it sounds familiar. Oh, I've heard this voice before.
Yeah. So what if we go even maybe a layer deeper? And I think the original struggle, the earliest memories I have are essentially, why is this so painful? Like, why, or something is wrong. Like, something is wrong. It's not supposed to be this way. And so, like, in that is I am already fighting with life itself, with myself, from probably since day one. And so, and then I think every human has wrestled with an unfair situation, or, maybe we turn on the news and we see, the genocide happening in Gaza, and we see these starving tiny little babies with distended bellies. And it's like, how can this be happening still in our world? And so there's the layer of, I'm going to label that as the devil, and I'm going to say that, whoever is to blame, we we have a story, and not to say that layer isn't like that there isn't some validity there, but then beneath that is a deeper question of like, and so this was kind of one of the big reasons why I ultimately washed my hands of anything that was religious, because it was like, how can God be a loving God and allow for this kind of thing in the world? So this is the, just the quintessential good versus evil, like, and I recognize that there's the very way that I, like, when I frame in myself, within my own mind, I recognize that I've done a shit ton of work and come a long way, with dealing with my own inner critic and like relationship to food and just all of the things. But I will say, or it still feels true, that I have a long way to go. Like, even though I am learning how to surrender and how not to control and how not to fight. But even that frame is the voice of the adversary loves the idea that there is still a long way to go. But that is just still where I am. So I guess
there's a tension.
Yeah. And I still don't know. I can't wrap my arms around. My arms aren't big enough to hold or be able to make sense of the level of horror that plays out at the human scale. And not to say that I'm not going to like ask you for some brilliant answer to all of that, but I am curious what it's like for you.
Jesus' words give me comfort. The words that he used with his disciples as he was getting ready to ascend after the ascend back to heaven. He says, "In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." And I think Carl Jung helps flesh out what is that like in our experience. He spoke extensively about holding the tension of opposites and argued that when we feel the excruciating pull between two things, such as like life is beautiful and life is also a battlefield, we shouldn't try to solve the conflict or choose one. Like, it's okay to allow the experience of beauty and carnage. Now, if you're green and you're in achiever mode developmentally, like
The fourth person perspective.
That's not okay. We are going to choose beauty.
Right.
And we're going to fight anything that is battlefield. And so in my experience with, say, hospice patients, there is a surrender to a body that is failing, and yet a holding on to or retaining all of the beauty of being human and experience. So to answer your question, Carl Jung's quote is, "All opposites are of God. Therefore, man must bend to his burden. And in doing, he finds that God, in his oppositeness, has taken possession of him. He becomes a vessel filled with divine conflict." Mm-hmm. So the adversary, in my experience, is not a problem to be solved, but rather it's a pressure that is a part of transformation in my experience. And there's an embracing of the tension. Something new is birthed or born. And, we could use spiritual or philosophical language and say, that's where the tertium quid comes. That's where the third option or the third way or the new self comes forth. Cole is, if Cole was able to speak in the deepest recesses of our world, it would probably say it doesn't like the pressure that it's experiencing right now, and yet it's only through the pressure that a diamond is formed. And that could be the metaphor of our experience with feeling discomfort, opposition, having someone who is being an adversary in a moment, and it gives us opportunity to pause and rise to the occasion that we wouldn't have known ourselves capable of experiencing forgiveness or grace or resilience or hope or love in that way, apart from the pressure of our experience that we wouldn't have chosen for ourselves.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. Thank you. So I suppose then the move is not to defeat the enemy, but to learn how to shake hands with it as much as we do with the things that we love. Or just to stand in the middle and feel them tug on both sides.
The way Ram Dass put it was love the darkness. And that's an active part. Love covers a multitude of sins is the one of Jesus's exhortations. And the way that we love our neighbor as ourself or love our enemy, like those really are giving us pointers and clues as to how we relate to our inner world and ourselves. Like if I'm just like, fuck them, I'm moving on and doing my own thing, that if that has come out of your mouth or that attitude, it probably is connected to a thread that goes into your innermost being, and you have a way of relating to yourself in the same way when you are frustrated or irritated or upset with yourself. And so recognizing that the exterior world is a mirror for our internal world is important.
Yeah.
I like Jesus's example of how he dealt with the accusations when he was led out into the wilderness for what's called the temptation, and fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and a beautiful unfolding of initiation. And the devil was never the problem or the object. Like, the center of the story, of the narrative, is Jesus naming what is true and finding that that is stable enough for him to live into and live from. And the devil turns out to be a necessary tool in the experience of what does it mean to not be a child anymore, and to be in this threshold, liminal space, and to step into a new way of being and experiencing in the world. And that's where the adversary is I almost want to say a prerequisite in our experience.
Yeah.
If I can say that word correctly, a prereq for crossing from one stage of experience into another way of being. There has to be that opposition that is met with something that oftentimes we don't know or recognize or realize that it was there all along, but it needed to come out in a new way. Or we find, or we discover, or we stumble upon the wholeness, the ability to remember what has been true all along was there, but we wouldn't have known it was there apart from the pain and the sorrow and the suffering of being hungry and being tempted.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I know you are right. I've had my own experiences of it, and it's there's almost, I've frequently have had moments of when that happened, when I get maybe to that recognition, it's like, God damn it. Like, it's simultaneously beautiful and wonderful, and there's this part of me that's just like, I don't like the way that this is. Why's it gotta be so hard?
Yeah.
And even with something as profound as, Bianca's life and death, I've definitely had, it's like, I can recognize the way in which that kind of beauty and love and enormity of incredibleness would not have been possible had it not been for the horror show. And
Yep.
I'm still trying to be okay with that. I'm still, it's like, if this is just the fundamental structure to how it is, I'm not sure I'm okay with this yet.
Well, first of all, I would never respond to someone who just shared with me horrible tragedy that, it's just a part of, you just need to get used to it. This is normal.
Of course not.
So that being said, there is nothing that can be said to make loss or opposition. I've got a kid right now that hates me so deeply, and they don't know why. And so it doesn't matter what conversations we have. They have taken on anger and bitterness, and I would say the devil from someone else, and have internalized that. And because of that, like, logic and reason and even fact does not work. And so in my situation, in your situation,
Oof.
all we can do is just rest into experience. And sometimes experience really hurts, and there is no reasoning for experience. And if someone tells you, whether it's from the pulpit or it's from a therapist chair, that they can give you enough reason to satisfy whatever your experience has been, they're lying, and I don't have time for them either.
Yep. I love it.
And I have very few things that I'm like that on, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
Coming back again to sitting with people at the end of their life and listening and inviting their pain in a way to honor their experience and their life that has beauty and pain and sorrow. Like, there's no way to somehow silver line everybody's pain and suffering. Like, there's just no way to make sense of what has taken place. And so you sit with the complexity of experience and make room for the disorientation. As a practitioner of spiritual care and a hospice chaplain, like, that's all that I can do. There's no Band-Aid. And I would have people hate me if I tried to put Band-Aids on
it'd be
their
cruel.
pain and
It'd be
suffering.
cruel.
Like, that would just not
No.
be okay.
No. Yeah. No, not a time for positive sticky notes on the mirror.
Nope. Not whatsoever.
No. Yeah. And so I guess in that, it's important to make sure that we don't do that to ourselves. I think is what I notice in that.
Yeah.
That sometimes, trying to keep positive sticky notes on our mirror is actually quite cruel. And in fact, what there is to just let your heart break. Just break.
Yep.
Paradoxically, through that comes the peace, the rest.
The third way
Yep.
in our experience. Yeah.
Bah humbug. I'm still grumpy about it.
Well, my love, thanks for sitting with me through this conversation.
No, it's such a good topic. It's one of the deepest mysteries of life itself. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now do I get to be your little devil?
Yes, please.
I'm getting my pitchfork out, baby. I'm coming after you.
Don't nobody want to hear that. Thank you all for being here. I think it is time for us to exit the room.
Let's sign off.
Until
until next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us and remembering you. Continue to honor, celebrate, and hold the pieces of who you are, and may there be new pieces that you are pleasantly surprised and discovered fit into your experience.
Well said.
Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.